I think this is the right approach from Digital Chaos in that trying to go for a
10
push lineup,
seconds
I
remaining.
think is probably the best approach for game number 2 after you got whomped in game number 1 so
5
hard.
seconds
So
remaining.
I like this decision by them. That being said, I think Newbee actually drafted much better in game number 2, and I give a huge advantage to them now.
Yeah, let's go to the game because it's already underway. Can't wait for it.
Prepare for battle.
So in game number 2 of this best of 3, DC looking to try and level it up, and but Newbee, they're looking amazing. They're looking in control. They have a fantastic...
Looking for a pickoff here. 5-man smoke through the river, see if they can get run into the Riki and get a dust on him. Instant first blood, plus you can get wards down and they aren't going to be spotted out by the Riki. In fact, they were pretty close to it. If they didn't smoke, right, their wards would have been relatively obvious just because of Misery's positioning earlier. But that we talked about during the draft, me and you, is the fact that the Beastmaster, Newbee drafted themselves really well where they could still run this 4-position Beastmaster. And when you go 4-position Beastmaster with that low, so he's not like ultra susceptible to the Riki roaming. And that's one of the dangers, right, of running a 4-position against Bounty or Riki, is that you may end up being harassed too much in your jungle or even give up an early kill simply because you're too low. But I think Beastmaster can actually make it work, and this last pick, Tidehunter, is very strong. The matchup of Witch Doctor and Lycan, he doesn't really have to worry about the Wolves so much. Another scenario where the carry isn't effective against this Tidehunter. And then you talk about high ground defense, well, there's not many heroes that do it better than Tide, and he really limits the damage of both the Necronomicon pushes of Lycan as well as the Invoker with his Force Spirits.
I want to keep my eyes actually on, like just at least my left eye over on Misery. Luckily, we've got 3 observers here, so we'll know when he does something. But that Curious Knife Off is what he's searching for. And Kaka, because he's running also that close camp, which is blocked out by the Sentry Ward, which you'll now discover, Misery can just keep tabs very closely on Kaka. That's the other reason why they put the Observer Ward deeper inside the Dire jungle, is so they know exactly where the Beastmaster is going, so Misery can be as efficient as possible with this rotation around inside the jungle camps.
Yeah, watch the way Kaka plays this. You'll always pull back the creep wave. He's not going to tank overly much. He's going to use the slow movement speed of these heroes. So I think overall this is good. But the mid matchup should be a little bit better because of this, because the Riki isn't there. Mu versus Weehaw in the mid lane. This time around, the Death Prophet will do a little bit better than we saw Digital Chaos do with that hero.
Misery is trying to get cheeky. He actually managed to snipe out one of those last hits inside the jungle. But Courier still hasn't left the base, so there was no reason for him to continue to wait around that. Also want to watch Mu's positioning up on this top lane, getting as aggressive as he can up against Chorn, drag the creep wave down, and we'll see his progression of farm too. Like Kaka, he's not really getting that far ahead. Misery was able to snipe out a second last hit from him, and he continues to leech out the experience. So yeah, while Misery won't find the kill, Kaka is still fueling the fire that is this Rikimaru, and with Mu dropping Chorn down low, you have a different target for the Rikimaru to go on. With a little bit of help there from the Batrider, they could find the kill. Because Kaka's being watched by Misery, this rotation to the top will be unsuccessful here for Newbee.
Counter ward laid out by Misery, but he may still be caught out by Chuan's rotation. I do like the way that Misery's playing this, though. Super disruptive, taking last hits, blocking camps, really making sure that the Beastmaster jungle, which is one of the fastest in the game right now, is slowed down. And there's a little extra. Misery gonna try and wrap on mid. Newbee already have a very defensive counter ward laid in place, so Mu shouldn't be caught out by this.
Yeah, the only downside as well is, well, not secondary downside. Oh, top lane. There goes your first blood. Weaver going very, very deep underneath the tower and found Mu in between the tree line.
Yeah, really good dive there. One of the dangers of Weaver is that it's one of the stronger laners to go up against. It just has really good diving potential, pretty decent damage output. The Tidehunter was able to survive just because he got some really early levels due to blocking out the hard camp, and high levels of Kraken Shell are really effective against Weaver, but most other offlaners are going to have an issue with this.
Misery is going to be more defensive now inside the Dire jungle. Kaka dropped down the counter ward, so we got rid of that obs, but it also flags the fact that there is true vision available. Mu, you get really... he's just chipping away at Weehaw. Obviously, you're trying to control like the momentum you've got in that mid lane already.
So far, the CS is looking all right. 13-3 for both mid laners at this point. Lycan and Weaver rather evenly matched up. The biggest difference is going to be the 4 position, as Beastmaster is up to 11 CS. Moo is getting, Moo obviously died, but he's actually getting more out of his offlane as the Batrider. So he is at least taking advantage of his early sticky napalm advantage, just because of the fact that he knows he's facing up against one support, so he made sure that he actually bullied the Venge out rather than the other way around.
They're going to finally have a real crack at this bottom lane. Saska came in before and he tried to actually get, like, because he went for the early point up in Maledict. So you got 2 points, in fact, in Maledict, trying to find that kill on this offlane Tidehunter. Now, very unsuccessful with that in game number 1, unable to really zone out KP or really put him in any kind of peril where you'd find a kill. But they're really just trying to poke and prod. Now Resolution, Wolves are up. There you go with the Paralyzing Cast. You start with the Maledict, but because you've already used a stun, Sunstrike comes in, it's enough! KP will end up dropping. While up on the top lane, you're going to end up losing that Batrider. Chorn was actually walking through the Firefly, dropping very, very low. I don't know if Misery can actually... Now that Chorn walked through that Firefly, he may just have enough damage to kill off Chorn. The dust will come up. There's no more strike to come, but Chorn, the movement speed, the Orb of Venom is able to tick him out. And Misery, the dust will still last another 3 seconds. Yeah, and Al knows he cannot kill him off. So trade-off, trade-off. Again, we find ourselves at 2-2 on the board, just like game 1. But this game, the CS appears to be a lot closer.
Yeah, Kaka, because of the way he's been stalled up, most of the time you would see a very early Tranquil Boots already being picked up by the Beastmaster, but his jungle has been slowed down, and he's actually low enough that Misery could go over and put some more pressure on him. But for now, looks like he wants to try and punish Hal while the Vengeful Spirit is away. Chuan actually bringing a smoke out to middle lane. Looks like they're going to try and maybe do something with that. Wrap around on mid, perhaps, and gank up the Invoker.
Instead, they just walk straight past each other. They'll keep it for a rainy day. Maybe just to hold on to that smoke.
Yeah, you can't really bring the Beastmaster when it comes to the smoke, but Chuan may feel like the top lane isn't worth for him to be there anymore, and he may actually go for some sort of solo smoke play.
Another problem for KP. Batrider, you're pushing through the levels, getting towards level 6. That's the second time now. This time he was successful TPing back to base. But you've managed to lock this Tidehunter at level 4, or just shy of level 4, and there's no ancient stacks like there were in game number 1, which just propelled his farm forward. Chuan, now the smoke, he's there on Misery, and Misery, well, the sentry's down, they know exactly what's going on. Stun over towards Weeha, and Misery, well, he actually takes one of them, the Sunstrike. Chuan, he feels it coming and moves away, as now Moo, underneath that tier 1 tower, trying to engage in. He's got one more Spirit Sight to develop, but he's way too deep with the call, so he can't finish the job. And there's DZ who will end up punishing the over-aggressive Moo.
Excellently well played by Weeha. First of all, he had the Sunstrike in the perfect place. Really good play, of course, by Chuan to be able to recognize that and dodge it. And then the second play, using the Fairy Fire and juking around the trees to make sure that Moo, as the Death Prophet, wasn't ever able to finish him off. And obviously, the moment you're able to invoke that Cold Snap underneath the Tier 1 tower, the Death Prophet is pretty much done for. So the big win there for Digital Chaos is they finally make that. They got the Sunstrike kill earlier. Actually, no, it was the Maledict, right, that finished off the Tidehunter. So that's the first kill that Weeha has been a part of, but it is going to allow him to get that Midas timing a lot faster.
Do you still actually have the timing coming out here from DC? Like, you talk about Midas coming over on the Invoker, you look towards the Lycan, and we've got ourselves a Vladimir's Offering build coming out from Resolution. Do you find that tier 1 tower push? Will Newbee be able to respond? Especially considering KP so far behind in levels. You don't have that same presence from the Ravage. And Courier will end up... Well, it might survive. The Observer Ward's going to get a little bit of a glimpse of it as it goes through the tree line. Yeah, Misery, you're not getting that. You can't fly over trees like Couriers.
Oh, Chuan, is he going to get him with the dust here?
He doesn't predict it.
It was the right position, but didn't have those senses tingling. Kaka is still farming away. He's about to pick up his level 6, and this is where the 4-position Beastmaster starts coming online. But the difference is you do have really good information. Normally the 4-position Beastmaster is able to pop out with an early level 6 and get a surprise gank on whatever core you feel is most valuable. Here though, his level 6 is delayed. It's going to be expected, and they have the information to his
Moo is about to get nailed as Lycan is also rotated in the double support through on the way, but a Sunstrike from Invoker. Weeha prepped it perfectly with the Cold Snap. And having Misery on the tail of the Death Prophet, she just couldn't walk away. Newbee probably just thought the DC were moving out to farm. They put the Witch Doctor in the lane to get his level 6 while Lycan backed out. You'd assume, hey, he could just be jungling camping, but no, they rotate in towards the mid, they add a little bit of pressure, and they force the rotations in from Newbee.
They do have a small ancient snack.
Well, at least you're going to get yourself a courier snipe. But how? Well, they don't have detection against him. In fact, it's the Observer and Sentry that's down from Newbee, which allows them to see Misery. Dust will trigger as well. Tries to put down that smoke screen, create a little bit more space. Misery will get back over the river, but damn, that damages so much, especially when you got the Beatles in the back. Luckily, Moo can move up and down, but then again, KP, you're a little close. Moo, okay, he will actually die. To in fact, how?
They desperately needed some backup from that mid lane position just because of the fact that Batrider did so much damage to Newbee, right? There were 3 different heroes all incredibly low, but unfortunately Digital Chaos had already used everything they had to be able to kill the Death Prophet much earlier. So that's just a fail in positioning there from Digital Chaos. Once they've expended like the Lycan ult and his rotation into mid lane, and Invoker goes back to farming up the jungle so he can complete his minus, you need to play more passive in that period of time, and both Misery as well as Moo ended up getting caught and feeding some kills back over to Newbee.
It's still not a terrible world though if you're DC. You keep the vision up, you keep watching Newbee's movements, you understand the fact that Titan now has his level 6, he's 5 points of experience into that.
I think Digital Chaos are actually playing this much better in game number 2 than they did game 1, despite having, I would say, more even of a draft matchup.
It's like they have more purpose in this game than they did in game 1. Not that that was too difficult.
Yeah, maybe the idea of, and I kind of agree with this in general principle for Digital Chaos, that aggression is more of their favorite like kind of standard. So in that case, game number 1, just the drafting may have been the right idea, but they may not have been experienced enough to be able to execute that sort of thing against Newbee. While this lineup, I would say, is a lot more pickoff oriented, a lot more opportunities for Digital Chaos to actually set some earlier tempo.
Yeah, it seems a lot more simple as well to execute. Very comfortable heroes for all the DC players. Newbee's going to try and remove that comfort as they 3-man smoke up. The line is drawn to head up towards the Moo lane, so Batrider into the tree and try and stay just out of it, but he understands what's going on. They're backed up. They didn't have an observer ward that was watching this maneuver, but they have to also understand that Newbee's missing so many players on the map. KP moves into the mid lane to try and defend that once again. Have engagements on both lanes, as now you have Moo running into the tree lines. KP's going to dive to that mid lane. The Sun strikes right in the mark, so they find the kill in mid while Moo retreats back off that top. They still find the Raw, so it's a 1-for-1 trade-off. Both the off-laners will go down. Maybe Moo worth a little bit more, but the trade-off is also then straight to T1 Tower, which is almost a mirror trade.
Oh, Digital Chaos are getting way more out of this because the nature of the Lycan is able to split push a lot more effectively than Newbee's lineup. They're going to get maybe 2 tier 1 towers. Resolution is full on committing for this one because he has his ultimate with the glyph. He's going to stall it enough that Hao should be able to get the deny.
Oh, will he run back in? There's still the catapult. Tusker right behind him, and there it is, denial done from Hao. Nicely weighted, but still Resolution knew he had to have some kind of a force wipe at it. If he got it, he got it. If he didn't, well, it happens. You've still removed the 2 tier 1 towers already from Newbee's lineup.
Yeah, that would have been perfect if only Digital Chaos had, first of all, not gotten that bottom tower denied, and if Moo, the moment he gotten that the correct scan on the secret shop, if they had just popped Firefly and run down the trees. Instead, he tried to hold on to that one, and that's why he ended up getting caught, making the smoke rotation worth it. It was a pretty easy, or relatively easy one to read from Newbee. Very common for teams to wrap around on Dire side into the secret shop, because from there you have the positioning to be able to cut behind both middle tier 1 tower as well as the off lane tier 1. And you could see with the positioning of their wards, they had their choice of either.
Well, it looks like Black and I are going to be right about the Necrobook build coming over on the Lycan. That Sunstrike Chuan gets hit pretty hard by that one. They really wanted it over on Karka, however, primarily because the walls were chipping him down, and it wouldn't have taken much for Misery to finish the job. He's already a level 6 rookie, but unable to find the opening.
It's rather interesting. Hao is actually spending a lot of time inside the enemy jungle. Not sure if he's anticipating on finding Moo actually spending time in there and trying to finish up his drums by clearing through some stacks, but how staying off map does make things a bit more dangerous for Digital Chaos, but I think they're getting enough information from Misery, and I think the information from Misery is actually what's allowing DC to make all the correct decisions so far.
It almost feels like he's more useful as a walking ward, even though he has been really fantastic at being involved in these early kills.
Yeah, and the split push comes in once again with the Forge Spirits pushing down top.
I think Newbee just smoked underneath the obs. So they're going to try and come down to this bot lane, but you're already seeing Saksa. He's already back behind that tier 1 tower. So Newbee won't find an opening. Meanwhile, the tier 1 tower on top lane is brought down. The Forge Spirits are up there helping out. The Batrider was fireflying, creep skipping the wave out. So Newbee lose a tier 1 tower. They really want to find a kill, and the Hawk has to do this from Kaka.
They've already got the scan. They're just going to go straight up for the dive. They know there's just one hero there. Free pick off. They can get in time.
Oh, TP out. There's your stun. Able to reach it from Chuan. So the tier 1 tower will drop on the bot lane. You got fortification, so DC can at least slow down the push, but there's no way to defend this.
I felt a little bit of mixed messages there from Digital Chaos, because they knew all those heroes most likely were wrapping down to bottom lane because they saw the smoke, but they backed away from pushing top, and they still kept Saksa at that bottom lane behind the tier 1. If you're going to keep him there, that means you're probably going to defend that tier 1. Otherwise, it's just a useless position to have. But I think in a split pushing lineup like this, Digital Chaos are much better. They should have been pressuring, continue to pressure top with the Regain, with the Batrider, and have Weehaw and Resolution do exactly what they're doing now. Go for the mid tier 2. There's no reason to fight Newbee if they're going to fight
TPs. Wait for those cancelling of the TPs. Not possible for Moo. He's in the neighborhood. So tier 2 tower killed off by the Lycan. Beastmaster got the other one. Ravage goes off in mid while the battle is still happening on bottom lane. He'll die on that mid lane, but now Death Ward, the roar from Kaka must be committed. He got the Lycan right behind him. Resolution. That damage on the Moo. The Witch Doctor will survive, keeping the restoration up. Now you can move over to Kaka, still slowed down by those 3 sticky napalm charges. You can trigger off the dust, which will give an opportunity here for Hal to chase down Misery over to the tree lines. With Shakuchi, he will definitely keep up. Sentry's down to the radiant side. Misery starting the push straight down. He had 1 second time with the ulti. Maybe now we can with the ulti. They bring down Hal. Misery with a double kill. They'll move over towards Tron and Newbee. This is a horrible trade with them losing 4 heroes. Even with a tower trade-off like that, DC just got a huge injection of money.
Brilliantly well played by Digital Chaos. They didn't set it up the best because the way they could have also pressured up the top lane if they made the correct decisions earlier, but the fact that they chose to go for that mid lane push, back down at the right heroes to be able to catch something at bottom, essentially forcing the Death Prophet and Beastmaster to go into a fight like that, and then it just turns even worse, is unfortunately, I'm not entirely sure why, but how making the decision, just like Resolution did as the Weaver, to think that the fight had just been lost, but he could still go for a pickoff, and that was just the wrong idea. Without his Lincolns, he can't make those kind of plays against a Batrider.
And DC, they're looking a hell of a lot better in this game. The question is, can they still find that aggressive timing? The net worth starts to spike up. They're going to get these bigger items coming their way, but can they capitalize on it? Resolution has to go dog form. The Roar's going to come out. Resolution's still insanely tanky, which means he should be able to outrun Hal.
Yeah, he's away. This time around, KP did go for the mech. Obviously, you don't have a mid laner that picks up mechs, so he needs that sustain item, but it also means he wasn't able to make the jump to help them out with that Lycan kill.
And while all this goes on, you've got the rest of DC who are very happy spaced out. Like that was still a decent committal there from Newbee to go for him. And the rest of DC just continue to farm up.
Yeah, add on to the fact that as long as they don't give up Roshan, Digital Chaos in about 5 minutes time, you just need that Necrobook 3 are going to hit a really big peak where they've got this big level advantage for Weehaw thanks to his Midas. They've got the completed Lycan set with the Necrobook 3 and a Blink Dagger now for Moo. And that's all because he was actually not doing that well as an offlaner, but because that last fight that just happened, he went from picking up drums to immediately having 1900 gold. And then everything else is just kind of extra. The fact that Misery has a Midas as well and is progressing in his levels and items over time, that's just kind of like the icing on the cake. You never anticipated to be that far ahead with the Riki. And even Saksa has at least arcane boots and a bracelet. So everything should hit really hard for Digital Chaos in 5 minutes time. They should have every advantage they need to be able to take a team fight finally against a Tidehunter and actually be able to win it, despite the overall team fight advantage that normally a 5-man Ravage does prevent. DC may still run into that one simply because their pushing is better. But if they don't see an opening, if they don't feel comfortable with 5-manning like that, they can still just play the split push game. They can use the Invoker on one side of the map and have the Lycan on the other, and just opt for pickoffs. Because this is just natural, right? The more you push in these side lanes, it forces Newbee to address, which they don't like to do, right? They love to be able to 5-man. They don't want to split up too often. But when they're forced to split up to deal with the side lanes, that's when Batrider and even Riki are able to find openings to get Sunstrike.
Well, for the last minute, Newbee basically holding your hands. They were back behind that tier 2 tower. It's like they were trying to group up for a smoke, but they just never smoked. And now they're hovering around Roshan, which is continuously scouted out by the Sunstrike. They are going to slip themselves in now. But DC, they were farming up the side lanes. They're actually going to smoke up themselves and move over to Roshan. The Warmth, it saw them go in. And now Newbee know with the lasso catching Chuan. There's the easy counter to the lasso. So Chuan, he's still going to go down. Nothing will survive him. And now Roshan killed by the Dire. Weaver has the immortality, but Paralyzing Cast can make it difficult to get out of here. Also, the Exorcism is wearing off. They have to know. They went at the timing and move. The Flame Break. He's actually slipped for the moment. The Ravage from KP tries to create space, but really it does absolutely nothing. Now he's got Maldig on top of him, combining it with Deathwood. KP must retreat out of this one. Misery's got trouble with the Necrobook. Right in your tail. He has to go back invis. And maybe, yep, there he is. He's actually away. So you kill off the VS. Hal wants to go for something else. Hichikuchi's through. Heavy damage with the bugs over on the Witch Doctor. They need to keep Hal off him. Back behind the T1 tower. They can play around the vision, but now Hal will just silence away. They got to get that bug off him, which now is able to be done. So Hal still wants more. He's hiding in the trees, looking for something. They want to force the advantage. They want to use it Aegis for good, but they're just not finding anything at the moment.
How is playing this correctly? He's using the Aegis to aggressively push back Digital Chaos because they don't have an exorcism, so they need to be able to utilize this Aegis to keep DC back so they could just right-click the tier 1. They'll back up here from now. I think they need to wait another 70 seconds till they have exorcism to go for a tier 2. But I think overall, Newbee, they see this as an opportunity to be able to recover. They see this as an opportunity to be able to actually take some fights with confidence around the Ravage, around the exorcism, and the extra life of the Aegis, even though DC have that Necrobook 3. I think Digital Chaos played that fight really well, though. The immediate pickoff was okay, but the way that Resolution popped his ultimate, went into dog form, and challenged the heroes without positioning himself right next to the Tidehunter for the Ravage. So KP, he was struggling. He faked it. He pump faked the Ravage once because the Lycan was getting close to him, but then he backed down. He's like, no, now's not the time. Tries to run forward, goes for a different kind of Ravage, but still another whiff. DC played around that well, but are they going to be able to hold the next team fight? KP, it'll be a different one for him because I think they're going to wait for his his Blink Dagger rather, so he won't have the same kind of positioning issues as he did last time.
And this is an early triggering on the Necrobook. It's like they're trying to find the invis heroes. They run into a Resolution, goes dog bomb Chuan again. He's the primary target. He lasted up by Move, but Resolution's dying so quickly. He won't be able to survive much longer. In fact, now he is down. Paralyzing can't make it easy either because both Karga as well as Chuan could not escape. Misery will go into the dagger form now. Backing out with that smoke screen covering up most of the riverside.
Oh,
and
he
Move
killed the
goes
Necro!
down. He didn't want to kill the Necro. Hal will run down through the river. They've lost 3 now, and it's unwillingly. He can't do anything against that, however. He can't control his exorcism.
The sad thing is, that could have been even worse for Newbee. The really clutch silence that came out from the Death Prophet prevented a smoke screen from Misery in a clutch period, a point in time like that. That could have been a total wipe from Newbee without even getting the Lycan kill if Misery had just been able to act first. But obviously still a big win for Digital Chaos. They're going to try and utilize that to get some more map control. The Invoker does have to back out to mid lane, and that's something that Hao did immediately. He identified lost fight, go split push. Try and bring Digital Chaos back so they can't take an objective after a win.
He walks up, he finds Chuan, but then again Chuan also finds him, throwing down the Obs and the Sentry. Smokescreen will allow Misery just to run away from this. But this will be a very easy D-ward from Chuan. There's a little bit of help in the neighborhood, but it's in the form of a Witch Doctor, so that's not enough where they can just counter it.
Yeah, this is actually, on the contrary, it's either a really easy D-ward for Digital Chaos. They know the combination of ward and counter ward, and they can deal with that a bit later on if they're able to take some control. But for now, maybe it's waiting on the BKB. They have the Axe coming in right now for Weehaw, but you still have that Aegis on the Weaver, so not really a big incentive for DC to push out. In fact, DC, the Sunstrike being utilized to get a range creep kill. That way, you have that Axe for Weehaw in hand.
And there's like a couple of minutes left now, Newbee. And they're coming towards the mid, but again, DC pretty much ready for him. There's your Blink Dagger in, moves. This time he's going to get stunned up, so no lasso control. The smoke screen tries straight space, and then Swan swapping him up, but they can't control the Ice Wall. Actually locking Swan in the river. He signs the Death Ward. KP's almost walked into Sunstrike. There's on the backline, the Ravage. This time from KP does a little bit of work, but it's already too late. He's lost so much life. He'll go down. Kaka will join him as well in the grave, and it's how underneath the Sentry Ward. They saw him for a moment, got the call snap off. Secondary Sentry, keep the vision. The time that drives him all the way back into the mid lane. Thanks to the radiant creep wave that was already there, they saw him run into the jungle, but that's 3 heroes down from Newbee. No Ravage, no Exorcism, no Roar, and that means it's a push from DC. But how far can you really push? You've got a 27-second window.
Not far. Once the Vengeful Spirit is up, it's too dangerous to actually push high ground because there's a potential for a nasty swap that then has a team fight, you know, probably on that tier 3, if not potentially behind it. It's not worth it. So poke at the tier 3, get a little bit of damage down, back out, and then use that space you just created, right? Because Newbee, 4-man just to be able to defend, just in case DC go for that push. Use the space you just created on the side lanes to be able to get some farm efficiency in our hands.
I was going to say, let's see that one again, but we won't for now.
And look at that. A Diffusal Blade almost complete for the Riki. At that point, it's either Necro 3, Gem, or Bust when it comes to killing a Riki, because every single time he's going to get dusted, he's going to Diffusal Blade himself, you throw down another dust, he'll smoke and Tricks of the Trade. He's a very elusive hero to kill.
That's why Newbee was running around with the Necro books already triggered inside their jungle. They're looking for Misery. They're trying to control him.
Oh, they caught him too, but it's so far away.
Yeah, they can't keep the vision up. Now they go for the run, the blink forward, the gush will come out, but this is all committed to kill off Misery. He'll actually start the Tricks of the Trade, but now with the bug's going to connect. Well, where did he go? He Phantom Strike down over the tree line, swap him back to mid-Sentry Ward. But how much of your life have you just wasted killing off a support Rikimaru?
Yeah, they had to pop Necro Book 3 for that, and look at the lane positioning. All of them are pushed past the tower, so it's not like Newbee can use that pick off to go and then just immediately pressure down the bottom lane. They've expended some of their pushing lineup. They're not going to be able to do anything to take objectives. Meanwhile, you're looking at DC, they're like, great, we can push down the top lane. We can force Newbee to rotate up there. Somebody's going to have to defend mid as well, and this just leaves openings for Batrider. Watch move very carefully. He's going to be looking for pickoffs, whether it's behind the tier 2 top, maybe there's someone who shows up mid. His team should always be fast now thanks to Resolution's shapeshift and the fact that they have a Sunstrike as well. That global presence, they can go for a single hero grab, pull him over a cliff, and easily take.
And DC, they are looking absolutely fantastic now. The question is, can they complete the game? You're able to D-ward out, so Newbee have no idea what's happening inside their own jungle. That was the observer ward position we were flagging before, because Newbee were all down on bottom lane. Easy D-ward, under no pressure. Tier 2 tower is dropped. So there's only one remaining outer tower for Newbee available. That's on the bottom lane. And DC is already starting to rotate multiple heroes down there to deal with it. And they've got an Observe Ward behind the tower too. So if Newbee want to try and come out and fight this one, they may not actually have the vision advantage unless they can get rid of that early.
I didn't notice this, but this actually looks like double Observer Wards used by Newbee inside their jungle. So they messed that one up, and they really need to keep every bit of vision they can, because they don't offer a whole lot of control against these Necrobook 3s. It's tough for them to be able to see the initiation now, just because they're lacking a lot of vision. The Riki is getting a lot of information for the Batrider. They're being split pushed constantly. DC have almost 2 or 3 times the opportunities to be able to initiate a team fight that's favorable for them. Newbee, I'm going to be very impressed if they can win a fight in the next 10 minutes, because DC, they've hit a peak, and it's only going to grow. If Resolution can complete an AC, get a BKB, I think that's still somewhat of never mind. I guess I was very afraid of the Ravage and Magic Missile, but there is still the Primal Roar, so he may just go full tank. He may go from AC Shriek to Heart or something like that. There's also issues for kiting the Wolf now, because you have Misery with a Diffusal Blade that can take away the Ghost Scepter, right? That's always the defensive mechanism for the Death Prophet, but not so much anymore.
Yeah, instead she'll have to just go straight into a Eul Scepter a little bit earlier than she intended, or maybe not using that as an aggressive controller too. Problems, definitely for Newbee. If they can get that double Ravage up from KP, again he's working in, having that Perseverance already. If you can get the Refresher Orb, maybe Newbee can get the better jump. You get the kills before you can start using these items, before you can have some kind of like return. But it's DC wrapping around the back under the cover of smoke. They want to kick in, and well, Newbee, it feels like they know what's going on. They're also backed out, hiding on the eastern part of the tree line.
Yeah, very
And maybe
smart.
they don't care. Now Newbee are actually stranded on bottom lane. DC can move in towards the mid. They start to push the tier 3 tower. Newbee have to come back. The Adire Observe Ward is seeing perfect position. That's only the sentry. They don't see him on the Batrider. Now they will. So where is your opening? Where's your target? And that's what it's going to be. Trick to the tray will allow Misery to escape, but now got moved! And they kill him off behind though. We are there with the EMP first. Newbee going to do this with only a half tank of gas. They need more damage. Now the death ward's kicking in. Moo's actually going to survive through this one. He's trying to get rid of the bug. Not going to happen. How are they going to find a couple of kills? But now, maybe DC. They are on the run. KP. No, Moo's going to go down. DC are back in control. KP will go down too. The Sunstrike perfectly positioned. Say goodbye to him. The Weaver is the last man standing. Hal needs to get something huge here. He's already got a triple kill, but the team asks more of him, or else this mid-drax is toast.
He doesn't have his ultimate either. Caught by the tornado.
The tornado! Will he have enough life? Chikuchi away?
Oh, Weeha's got the right idea. He's like, no, ignore the Weaver, ignore the Weaver. He can only do so much. If we stay grouped up, we pressure the tier 3. This is the time for us to be able to punish Newbee. We just want a team fight right outside the base.
They need the racks. They need the racks. They even attempted just a rando Sunstrike to maybe catch him as he went back, and they realize they can't take the melee. They'll go for the range. No more risk. Chorn is back up. Potentially a really, really poor position. Could find themselves losing one of their big heroes, the Lycan or the Invoker.
Yeah, exactly. They don't want to give up any free kills, and they also need to get some map control back. Both the bottom and top lanes were pushed in. They need to get control of those. That way, they can set themselves up for Roshan, because if they're dealing with the side lane pushes, Newbee, as their heroes start coming up, are going to go straight into the Roche pit. DC have to anticipate that. They have to push out the top lane now and try and run the Invoker all the way across the map in time for the fight.
Newbee know it's all sprung. The Wolves walked inside the pit underneath the sentry ward. So they're sitting there for the moment. Here comes the second set. Wait for him to come in, and Lycan triggers his Necro box. They look for the target. It's going to be Chorn to start with. Tornado picking up KP with an EMP. KP will do it. The ulti catching out 3 with a roll, but Hal's already down. They've all come in with no buyback. Moon died of the meteorite. Karka's gone. This game may actually just be almost over right now when they get 3 huge kills like that. You take Roshan, you know DC. They're headed straight mid after this.
Oh, absolutely. Even if they already popped the shapeshift in the Necrobook, it doesn't matter. You kept all 5 alive and will be able to push with an Aegis. Newbee, 50 seconds left for a Weaver. This is at least 1 lane of racks. They're probably going to take that mid and go straight for top, and that's where the last fight really occurs for Newbee.
Yeah, they need something massive, but without a Ravage, how do you do this? Without Exorcism, how do you do this?
You're going to have to poke and prod at Digital Chaos and hope they put themselves out of position. DC, this is where you just need to see discipline. Just focus on objectives.
Yep. They're already starting their rotation up now, and we see just how quickly DC can do it. A 12k advantage. Not a surprise it starts to spike up after getting one was such a one-sided affair in favor of Newbee. DC take one terrific fight around Roshan. A lot of things preparing for this point, but instantly 2 sets of racks goes their way.
All right, and they've got double BKBs too. That's the funny thing about this, right? Is that Digital Chaos, their peak, they're still climbing. It's not like it's like, okay, they've hit their biggest peak, they've got 2 lanes of racks. They're still getting so much stronger because BKB on the Lycan now means that he can ignore Ravage and he can run straight at the Tidehunter if he wants to. He can, because the Necrobook burning all that mana, right? He can force KP into an unnatural Ravage that he doesn't want to throw if he's able to get the damage on him first.
Well, he already had that in the last fight too. Like he was caught in the tornado. The EMP was coming his way. You saw the Necrobooks running in too. You realize that you could remove that huge ultimate just by having half a second worth of control when he hits the ground from tornado. It's almost impossible for KP to get a fantastic ultimate off unless it's Newbee who are the ones initiating. But they were the ones who were trying to like slip themselves in. Potentially you take the Roshan. Maybe you get like that kind of fight, but they're the counter initiators after DC are the ones that set the pace in the fight.
Newbee, I think they need to try and smoke and push into Digital Chaos and see if they can get some sort of fight where they take DC by surprise, maybe before they're completely grouped up. But I don't think they actually have any smokes left. Doesn't look like they have any in their inventories. Yeah, another 10 minutes until they have one up. So they're actually... Oh, wait, they got 1 smoke on Chuan. So this is kind of like their last hope. And
they at least have Ravage back up.
I can't even begin to craft a story. Like, it has to be a Blink-in, 5-man Ravage, Primal Roar.
I'm wondering if even if you try and go for a 5-man Ravage, you just try and get one quick pick, like that moment of resolution. You know you got 3 heroes sitting behind, but what other choice have you got? Can you get one quick pick at least with Newbee?
No, I don't think a pick is ever going to be enough. I'm trying to craft some sort of storyline where Newbee actually win a team fight, and that really is only through a 4 or 5-man Ravage with proper stun follow-up.
They could try it. The funny thing is, too, like, even if they only catch that, like, one here, like Resolution, who right now DC are using as bait, he's still got the Aegis to the Immortal. Resolution can tank through so much. It's a 60-second cooldown. These fights have been dragging on so long. He actually can feel confident enough to use that ultimate form already before the Aegis Immortal will trigger. Drops down by half-life. They force-stamp him out. That's the first one over on the Wish Doctor with EMP Tornado. Picking him up, throwing him down. Parker, he's AC out of mana with the Necrobook to the front line. Flame Break pushes him back. KP, he wants to Ravage, but there's no real opportunity just yet. The next time he'll have to trigger. They're in pretty deep, but where's the opening? Now the Ravage will come through, but how is so low? No time left to battle. He's on the sidelines, no buyback. Newbee, they've lost this game. They've done it. It is actually going to go to a third deciding game after Newbee crushed the living hell out of DC in game 1. DC on a solid and
my expectations for Digital Chaos are just growing and growing as time goes on. This team, they had the mental fortitude to come back from a Game 1 crushing like this, and they look like an entirely different team. They just look so much more comfortable with this draft than they did the last, and they executed 10 times better too.
It seems absolutely crazy that just the difference. The games are like polar opposites from game 1 to game 2. Digital Chaos, something wasn't right in game number 1. Game number